At the inheritance meeting in our family home in Charleston, my older brother Tyler stood up like he owned the room, tapped his glass, and announced with the biggest grin, "Mom and Dad decided to leave all 8 rental properties in South Carolina to me. Ariana, sorry, you get nothing." The room exploded. Cheers, whistles. Someone even shouted, "Finally." Cousins clapped him on the back. His fiancée, Vanessa, beamed like she'd just won the lottery. And Mom dabbed her eyes with that proud little tear. I didn't clap. I didn't even blink. I just looked straight at Dad and said, calm as ever, "Dad, you forgot one thing, didn't you?" His fork froze halfway to his mouth. Tyler's smile vanished. Vanessa stopped mid-sip. 30 people suddenly went dead silent. You could hear the ceiling fan humming. And in that single second, every single person in that room knew the script they'd rehearsed for months was about to burn. Before I tell you exactly what my dad forgot and how the rest of that afternoon turned the whole family upside down, drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from tonight. I always like knowing I'm not the only one who sat at a table full of people who swore they loved you right before they showed you what they really think. Hit that like button if you've ever had to smile while your entire family cheered for your downfall, because trust me, what happened next made every single one of them regret clapping so fast. Now, let me take you back to how we got here. My name is Ariana Caldwell, and if you'd met my family before that inheritance meeting, you'd probably have thought we were the perfect Charleston success story. Big house in Mount Pleasant, boats at the marina, Christmas card smiles every December. But those pictures never showed the quiet hierarchy that ruled everything behind closed doors. Tyler has always been the son everyone orbited around. From the moment he came home from the hospital, people noticed him first, listened to him longest, forgave him fastest. Little League star, high school football captain, the son who stayed local and helped manage Grandma Dorothy's rental properties the second he graduated. Every family cookout ended with someone slapping his back, telling him he was the future of the Caldwell name. He soaked it up like it was oxygen. I learned early that I lived in the shade he cast. Teachers mixed up our names until Tyler corrected them with a laugh. Birthdays meant his cake first, his gifts opened loudest, his stories retold at the table while mine stayed folded inside me. When I asked for extra science tutoring in middle school, Mom sighed that money was tight because Tyler needed new gear. When I got accepted to Duke University on a full scholarship, Dad's only comment was, "Guess someone has to leave South Carolina." So I did. The day I turned 22, I packed everything I owned into my beat-up Honda and drove north on I-85 until Charleston was just a glow in the rearview mirror. Charlotte gave me the first real breath I'd ever taken without someone else's shadow on my face. I started as a junior analyst at a commercial real estate firm uptown, crunching numbers on apartment complexes and shopping centers, learning how deeds work, how trusts work, how ownership can be moved quietly and permanently when someone knows what they're doing. I still came home, but only when Grandma Dorothy asked. She was the one person who never compared me to Tyler. Never asked why I couldn't just be happy here like your brother. She'd sit on her wraparound porch overlooking the harbor, silver hair twisted up with a clip, and listen to me talk about cap rates and lease abstracts like they were poetry. Some weekend she'd hand me the keys to one of the rental houses and tell me to walk through it alone, feel the weight of real ownership, even if nobody else knew it yet. Those visits were my oxygen too. She never once called me the smart one or the independent one, the way relatives did when they wanted to sound nice. She just looked at me, really looked, and said things like, "You see things clearly, Ariana. That's rarer than money." When I left on Sunday nights, she'd press a cold sweet tea into my hand and remind me the drive was only 4 hours, not a lifetime. Everyone else stopped noticing when I was in the room. Phone calls from Mom shrank to texts about holidays. Dad only called if Tyler needed help closing a deal on one of the properties. I became the daughter who did her own thing, which in our family meant the one nobody had to invest in anymore. I didn't hate Tyler for it. Hate would have required energy I refused to give. I just accepted the rules, the way you accept humidity in August. You dress lighter, you keep moving, you don't waste breath complaining. Charlotte promoted me to senior property analyst 2 years ago. I bought a small condo in South End, filled it with plants that actually lived because nobody else was there to forget watering them, and built a life where my value wasn't measured against someone else's spotlight. The only tether left was Grandma Dorothy. 3 years ago, everything changed without anyone knowing. Grandma Dorothy called me on a Tuesday evening and asked me to come down the following weekend. No explanation, just that she needed my eyes on something. When I pulled into her driveway in the historic district, she was already waiting on the porch with 2 folders and a pot of coffee strong enough to strip paint. She didn't waste time on small talk. She slid the first folder across the table and told me to read bank statements, rental income logs, expense reports for the 8 properties. The numbers didn't lie. Over the previous 18 months, more than $400,000 in rent money had vanished into categories labeled maintenance, emergency repairs, and management fees. Receipts were missing or photocopied so many times they were illegible. The handwriting on the few that existed matched Tyler's. She watched me flip pages, her mouth a thin line. I gave him access because he swore he wanted to learn the business, she said. Turns out he learned how to bleed it instead. I asked the obvious question, why not confront him? She shook her head. Because your parents would defend him. Say boys will be boys. Promise he'll pay it back someday. By the time someday comes, there'll be nothing left to pay back. That was the moment she opened the second folder. Inside were draft documents, a revocable living trust naming her as trustee for life, and upon her passing, me as sole successor trustee and beneficiary of every single rental property. Plus 8 quitclaim deeds ready to transfer title immediately. All she needed was my signature and 2 witnesses. She explained it like she was reading the weather. A living trust avoids probate, keeps everything private. No public filings until I'm gone. Quitclaim deeds move ownership instantly and quietly. Once recorded, they're ironclad. The notary I trust is coming Monday morning. No lawyers in the family will ever see the paperwork unless I want them to. I asked why me. She looked out at the water and answered without hesitation. Because you understand what these houses actually are. 32 families who pay rent on time so their kids can stay in the same school. You won't gamble that away on boats or parties or whatever new toy catches his eye this month. I tried to argue that Tyler would lose his mind when he found out. She cut me off. He doesn't get to find out until it's too late to undo. That's the whole point. We spent the rest of the weekend going over every detail. She walked me through the trust language, showed me where to sign, made sure I understood that once the deeds were recorded at the county courthouse, the houses were legally mine whether anyone liked it or not. She even had me initial every page so there could never be a claim I didn't know what I was agreeing to. Monday morning, the notary arrived at 9 sharp. We signed in the dining room while the ceiling fan clicked overhead. Grandma Dorothy's hand didn't shake once. When the notary left, she poured us both a finger of bourbon, even though it wasn't noon yet, clinked her glass against mine, and said, "Now it's done. And now we shut up about it." She made me swear on her parents' graves that I would never breathe a word until the day came when someone tried to take what was no longer theirs to give. I gave her my word. We burned the extra copies in the outdoor fireplace that night and watched the smoke curl up into the magnolia trees. For the next 2.5 years, nothing looked different on the surface. Tyler kept collecting rent checks and bragging about his portfolio. Mom and Dad kept praising how responsible he'd become. I kept driving down from Charlotte every couple of months, checking on tenants when Grandma asked, fixing what actually needed fixing instead of inventing reasons to spend. Nobody noticed the county records now listed the owner of record as Ariana Caldwell, because nobody ever bothered to look. Grandma's health started slipping faster after that. She spent more days in bed, less on the porch, but every time I visited, she asked the same question, "Still our secret?" I always answered yes. It became our ritual. 2 words that meant everything. The last time I saw her alive, she gripped my hand so hard her ring cut into my skin. "Remember," she whispered, "paper beats promises every single time." Then she smiled like someone who just won a bet nobody else knew was on the table. 7 months ago, right after Grandma's funeral, Mom called and asked me to stay an extra day. "We need to talk about the properties," she said, voice soft like she was breaking bad news. "Everyone's coming to the house tomorrow." The next afternoon, the dining room looked like a board meeting. Dad sat at the head, sleeves rolled up, legal pad in front of him. Tyler lounged to his right, legs stretched out, already acting like the new landlord. Mom kept refilling coffee nobody drank. A stack of documents waited in the center, crisp and official. Dad pushed the top page toward me. "It's just a simple waiver," he started. "We're keeping everything in the family, but to avoid any confusion down the road, we need you to sign that you're not expecting a share of the rentals." I glanced at the title, Waiver of inheritance interest, real property. 8 addresses listed neatly below. My pulse stayed steady. I'd seen worse surprises. Mom jumped in before I could speak. Sweetheart, it's only paperwork. Tyler's staying here, handling everything day to day. It makes sense for him to have full control. This just keeps things peaceful. Tyler smirked, spinning a pen between his fingers. Yeah, Ariana. Nobody wants lawyers involved. Sign it and we're good. I slid the paper back an inch. I'm not signing anything. The room temperature dropped. Dad's eyebrows shot up. Mom's hand froze on the coffee pot. Dad recovered first. Come on, don't be difficult. This isn't about taking anything away from you. It's about clarity. I looked him straight in the eye. I won't sign away what Grandma intended for me. Silence. Tyler stopped spinning the pen. Mom tried the emotional route. Your grandmother wanted the family taken care of. She'd hate to see us fighting. I didn't blink. She's not here to see anything, is she? And I'm not fighting. I'm just not giving up my rights. Dad leaned forward, voice lowering the way it used to when I was 10 and late for curfew. Ariana, we're trying to do this the easy way. Tyler's put years into those houses. I almost laughed. Years of putting money into his own pocket, maybe. Tyler finally spoke, irritation cracking through the casual act. You live in Charlotte. You don't even want them. Why make this hard? Because they're not yours to give, I said. Mom's eyes welled up on cue. We just want everyone happy. After everything we've been through. Losing Mom. Classic move. Bring up the recent death. Make refusal feel cruel. I stood up. I'm sorry you're upset, but I'm not waiving anything. Dad slapped the table hard enough to rattle the cups. This is ridiculous. You're acting like we're stealing from you. I picked up my keys. No, I'm acting like someone who knows exactly what's hers. The living room was packed when Tyler finally stood up. Champagne flute raised high, voice carrying over every conversation like he'd rehearsed it for weeks. I just want to thank Mom and Dad for trusting me with Grandma Dorothy's legacy, he began, flashing that practiced grin. As of today, all 8 rental properties are officially under my name. The family tradition continues, stronger than ever. Glasses lifted. Cheers rippled through the room. Someone shouted, to Tyler. A cousin started clapping, and the rest followed until the sound bounced off the walls. I waited until the noise peaked, then rolled my suitcase forward, wheels clicking across the hardwood. Every head turned. The clapping died mid-air. I stopped beside the coffee table, clicked the latches, and flipped the lid open. 30 pairs of eyes locked on the neat stacks inside. Dad found his voice first. Ariana, what is this? I didn't answer him yet. I pulled out the first quitclaim deed, held it up so the notary seal caught the light, and laid it face up on the table. Then the second. Third. 8 in total, each bearing Grandma Dorothy's bold signature and the raised seal of the Charleston County Clerk. Next came the Revocable Living Trust, thick and bound, successor trustee section highlighted in calm yellow. I placed it on top like a period at the end of a sentence. Only then did I look at Dad. You really forgot this existed, didn't you? The color drained from his face so fast I thought he might drop. Mom's hand flew to her mouth. Tyler stared at the papers like they were written in another language. Mr. Henderson, the family attorney, stepped forward, adjusting his glasses. He picked up the trust first, flipped to the signature page, then to the schedule of assets listing every address. His fingers moved faster as he cross-checked the quitclaim deeds against the county stamps. He looked up slowly. These are recorded, he said, voice flat. All of them. 3 years ago. Ariana is the legal owner of record. There is no probate interest left to distribute. You could hear ice melting in forgotten glasses. Tyler lunged for the documents. That's impossible. Grandma was sick. She didn't know what she was signing. Mr. Henderson didn't hand them over. I notarized similar documents for Dorothy myself. The handwriting matches. The notary is licensed and present in the county records. These are binding. I finally spoke again, calm and clear. Grandma knew exactly what she was doing. She made sure the houses went to someone who would protect the tenants, not bleed them. Dad tried to stand, sat back down hard. She never told us. No, I said. She didn't. Tyler's face twisted. You hid this the whole time. You let us plan everything. I let you plan what you thought was yours, I cut in. Grandma asked me to wait until someone tried to take what she'd already given away. Today seemed like the day. Vanessa's champagne flute slipped from her hand and shattered on the floor, spraying across shoes and ankles. She didn't bend to pick up the pieces. She just stared at me, mouth open, then at Tyler, then back at the papers. Without a word, she grabbed her purse, pushed past 2 cousins, and walked straight out the front door. The screen slammed behind her. Nobody went after her. Tyler's face went from red to purple. He snatched the living trust from Mr. Henderson's hands and started flipping pages wildly. This is fake, he shouted. She forged it. Grandma was on painkillers the last year. She didn't know what day it was. Mr. Henderson took the document back, calm as ever. He turned to the signature page and began reading aloud, slow and deliberate. Article 4, Section 2. Upon the death of Dorothy Coldwell, all real property listed in Schedule A shall pass immediately to successor trustee Ariana Coldwell, free of probate. He kept going, voice steady, every clause another nail. When he reached the notary acknowledgement and the recorded dates, Tyler's yelling faded into heavy breathing. From the corner by the hallway, Cameron stepped forward, my middle brother, the quiet one who'd spent years blending into walls, and spoke for the first time all afternoon. She's telling the truth, he said. Every head swiveled. I was there the day Grandma signed. She asked me to drive her to the notary because she didn't want Mom or Dad knowing. I waited in the car. She came out smiling. Tyler spun toward him. You knew and didn't say anything? Cameron met his glare. She made me promise the same thing she made Ariana promise. Some promises matter more than keeping the peace. Mom crumpled onto the couch, hands over her face, shoulders shaking. Dad looked 10 years older in 10 seconds. He slid down to his knees right there on the rug, reaching toward me like I was the last solid thing in the room. Ariana, honey, please. We didn't know. We can fix this. We'll redo everything. Just don't take it all away from your brother. His voice cracked on the last word. Tears ran down his cheeks. Real ones this time. Mom reached for my hand, mascara streaking. We thought we were doing what was best for the family. We thought Tyler needed it more. You're doing so well on your own. I pulled my hand back before she could grab it. This was Grandma's decision, not mine. I closed the suitcase, latched it, and set the handle upright. Mr. Henderson cleared his throat. I'll prepare the necessary notices to all tenants and financial institutions first thing Monday. Ownership transfer is already complete. This is purely administrative. Tyler made a sound like a wounded animal. Mom wailed into a throw pillow. Dad just stared at the floor. I picked up my keys and walked toward the door. I paused just long enough to deliver one final line. Blood doesn't guarantee loyalty. It never did. 3 months later, the dust had settled, but nothing was the same. Tyler's name disappeared from every lease, every bank account, every vendor contract tied to the 8 properties. The IRS notice arrived the week after the meeting. Years of writing off personal vacations as property inspections and new trucks as maintenance vehicles finally caught up. They froze what was left of Tyler's accounts and slapped a lien on anything still in his name. The final penalty came in at just over 6 figures. He's still paying it off on a payment plan that will follow him for years. Mom and Dad put the big house on the market 30 days later. The boats went first, then the jet skis, then Mom's jewelry collection. They moved into a 2-bedroom condo near Somerville with a view of a parking lot instead of the harbor. Dad took early retirement because the stress gave him heart palpitations. Mom started working part-time at a boutique to cover groceries. Vanessa sent back the ring by mail. No note. Cameron texts me every couple of weeks. Just short check-ins, nothing heavy. He's the only one I answer. He says the rest of the family talks about me in past tense, like I died instead of Grandma Dorothy. I tell him that works for me. I stayed in Charlotte. The rental income covers my mortgage and then some. I hired a local management company run by women who actually return calls within an hour. Vacancies dropped, tenant satisfaction went up, and every month the numbers land in my account clean and quiet. I bought 2 more properties last quarter. Smaller deals, but mine from day one. Not a single family member has tried to reach me directly. No letters, no emails, no drive-by visits. The last voicemail I got was from Mom 2 months ago, crying, asking if I'd come for Christmas. I didn't call back. I deleted it and blocked the number the same day. Some nights I sit on my balcony in South End, city lights below, and think about the little girl who used to beg for science tutoring while her brother got new gear. That girl learned the world rewards the loudest voice in the room, until someone finally decides to speak with proof instead. I still have the fireproof folder. Every deed, every trust page, every recorded stamp sits inside it on the top shelf of my closet. I don't look at it often. I don't need to. The houses pay the bills. The tenants stay happy. And my phone stays silent from anyone who once called themselves family. Grandma Dorothy was right. Paper beats promises every single time. And some doors, once you close them, stay closed for good. If you've ever had to choose between the family you were born into and the peace you built yourself, tell me in the comments where you're watching from tonight. Because sometimes the hardest thing isn't walking away, it's refusing to walk back.